Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another video on a specific tournament lake or just a fishing lake in general that you may want to know all the logistics of the lake before you get here. So like launch ramps, you know, where good places to stay are, that sort of thing, you know, where the tournaments generally go out of. All those little details are really important for planning trips. And, you know, I get to go all around the country, fish all these different fisheries. And so I kind of come up with my own little system or routine at each of these fisheries. So I just figured, hey, might as well use my knowledge and experience at these lakes to help you guys plan a trip. So today we're going to be talking about my home lake, Lake Chickamauga, which is in East Tennessee on the Tennessee River. So it's sandwiched between Watts Bar Lake to the north and Nickajack to the south, which Nickajack is just the lake north on the Tennessee River of Guntersville, legendary Guntersville. So we're like in the heat of some of the best Tennessee River fishing out there. And Lake Chickamauga is definitely, since around, I would say, 2013 and 14 has really started to, or, you know, made a name for itself or established itself as one of the leading big bass factories. You know, I believe it holds the state record largemouth. The state record smallmouth is still Dale Hollow. That's actually the world record smallmouth, I believe. I might be wrong on that. There may have been one that rivaled it, but I still think it is Dale Hollow. But anyways, talking about Chickamauga, great tournament lake, or just fishing lake in general. You know, right now I feel like it's on a little bit of a downswing as far as, you know, consistent large bags of bass. I feel like it just received a ton of pressure. You know, that first Bass Fest tournament that they had out here in 2014 really just exposed this lake to the masses, and just showed everybody how many big fish were in this lake and how awesome of a ledge fishery it is. And so a lot of people end up coming here to fish for good reason. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start on the south end of the lake. We're going to start talking about the launch ramps that I recommend that you look at when you come to Lake Chickamauga. There are a ton of different launching options on this lake, but I'm just going to mention my favorite, the ones that I personally use, and kind of explain why I like those in different areas. So let's start on the very south end of the lake. The first launch ramp that I've used down here is they say on the Navionics app here, and we're using the Navionics app for all of this. It's called the Chickamauga Dam Day Use Area. It's this launch ramp right here. It's got a little dock, as you can see here on the Navionics app. I believe it's one or two lanes. So I think it's just one, honestly. So it's not like a ramp that you're going to be seeing a lot of tournaments go out of. Maybe some club tournaments go out of here, dog fights and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just for, you know, going out there practicing for a tournament or just fun fishing. It's got good parking. It feels real safe. It's concrete ramp. I like that it has a floating dock there, so you can always tie up to that. So that ramp is the one that I've used. Oh, we've got some relief shading here. That's the one that I've used on the south end if I'm going to want to check out the dam. So there's, like I said, there's a bunch of different ramps down here, and some people may have a better suggestion of better ramps, but that's the one I've used personally down here. As we go up the lake, really, there's two different ramps that I like to use in this Chester Frost and Harrison Bay area. Chester Frost is right here, this bay. In fact, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the map options here. We're going to just go straight to no overlay. Just makes it a little bit easier to see everything, at least for me. So this is this big bay here. This is Dallas Bay. Or we all call it just Chester Frost right here. And then you've got Harrison Bay, this big bay here, in Wolf Teaver Creek. So there's a ramp, a good ramp that a lot of people use in Wolf Teaver. So right on the side of, gosh, what is I am so bad with my road names. Right at the mouth of Wolf Teaver and Harrison Bay, you've got that ramp right there. I think it's about 2 lanes, plenty of parking. It seems like it's a pretty safe area, and it puts you right dead center in some of the best fishing on the lake, which is the Harrison Bay area. This area just has a ton of fish in it. For ledge fishing opportunities, sight fishing, there's just not a whole lot of better areas condensed in one spot. The other ramp that I use, which when I was living down here in the, in the Hickson area, this is what I used a lot. And that is the Chester Frost ramp. Okay, you've got the Chester Frost ramp. It's pretty big. It's got a ton of parking. There are definitely a lot of smaller regional tournaments that are held here. Not a whole lot of like real big ones, but there has been some like Toyota Series. Like last year I fished a Toyota Series going out of Chester Frost. Lots of parking, a very, very popular ramp. It's about as safe as you can get on the lake. As far as like security, it's got 2 or 3 lanes depending on how people utilize their lane, and then you've got 2 docks that are on the side, so plenty of parking as far as docks and also trailer parking. Chester Frost is probably the #1 choice on the west side of the lake, and kind of mid-lake region. All right, so from there, really, I don't use any other ramps between Chester Frost and Soddy Creek here. So Soddy Creek is another place that I'll launch. This place is called, gosh, I forget the exact name of this ramp, but it's essentially back here in the back of Soddy Creek. You can see you've got the main drag here, this main highway, and then you've got the launch ramp back here. I launch there a lot if I'm trying to get to, kind of this upper mid-lake region here. So that's a good ramp, got a good amount of parking. It feels pretty secure. It's kind of in a residential area, but it is pretty good. All right, so for the sake of just giving you guys the most specific information, the name of the ramp, I keep forgetting these ramps. I use them all the time, but I forget what they're called a lot of times. That one is called Holly Park. So Holly Park is the name of this ramp in the back of Soddy Daisy, or Soddy Creek, and you access it through Hickson Pike, which is the road that you're going to be turning off of immediately to get to the ramp. And then the nearest highway is 27. So really easy access. You don't have to go down a bunch of country roads or something to get to it. It's pretty easy access. But that's where I tend to launch a lot in this area. And when you go to like Possum Creek, which is this next creek up, you've got a ramp over here. Looks like a Possum Creek Recreation Area. I've used it a couple times. I think that there's a launch fee at that ramp. Unless mentioned, most of these ramps do not have launch fees. The Possum Creek one I think does. And then you go up and then you get into this Grasshopper Creek, which is another popular ramp that I've only used once, honestly. But if you're on the east side of the lake and you don't want to drive all the way around to find a ramp on the west side, Possum Creek seems to be a pretty good place. There's like a campground there. I can't remember if there's a launch fee. I think there is. Sail Creek also has another one of those little ramps that it does have a launch fee. I ended up paying for a annual pass for that one just because I like to use that one quite a bit in Sail Creek. That one's pretty good. Not a ton of parking, but usually you don't have to worry about it being over full. Other than that, now we kind of get into the Dayton area, and Dayton is kind of the tournament hub on Lake Chickamauga. You'd think that it would be down there in Hickson where they've got Chester Frost, but Dayton is actually, they put a lot of energy into welcoming tournaments to the town. Recently, they've kind of backed up a little bit on their tournament, the amount of tournaments that they have, just, you know, for the residents. They just don't want that much traffic every single weekend. But anyways, they've got a great launch ramp here in the Dayton Boat Dock launch area. There's actually 2 launch ramps. So you got one on this, like the tip of this peninsula here, and then you've got one in kind of the marina basin there. Tons of parking. This is where you're going to see most of your big tournaments, you know, whether it's Toyota Series, you know, BPT, Elite Series, all those opens, you know, most of the tournaments go out of Dayton and Dayton Boat Dock there. Great location, very close to a bunch of different gas stations in the area. The biggest drawback to launching in Dayton is the fact that once you get up into this part of the lake, you know, most of my favorite fishing is down lake. So it's like, and then you also have to traverse through Richland Creek here. So you launch up here, and then there is a major idle zone from about right here, or you know, from the ramp to about right here, and then you can run as long as you run safely. Just stay within the markers during the winter time. And then once you get to Blue Water Resort down here closer to the lake, there's a no wake zone. So you got to go through that no wake zone. And then once you get past that, then you can run out onto the main Tennessee River. So that is the main launch ramp area on this northern end. Now, there is a launch ramp at Blue Water Resort. There is going to be a launching fee if you're not staying at the campground. And I'm not sure how welcoming they are to people just that aren't staying there, just going and launching. So I would, if you're not staying at Blue Water Resort, which is a great resort for RVs, and also they have some cabins. If you're not staying there, I would just go ahead and launch at Dayton Boat Dock area, which you should know doesn't have the Michael Neal's tackle shop anymore. They actually moved over by the Taco Bell in town. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, the only other launch ramp that I use up here, just because I live here, you can see I live in the back of Mud Creek area. There's a little launch ramp in Mud Creek. Good little ramp, only viable during the summertime when it's summer pool. When it's at winter pool, or getting close to winter pool, it's just high and dry. There's just not much ramp there. And there's several ramps, including Chester Frost, the most popular ramp on the lake. That during winter pool, it gets a little sketchy, so you got to take it slow. So if you're coming here when it's winter pool, make sure that you back in slowly. And that's one thing that you need to remember is when you're coming to this lake. Summer pool, you can run just about anywhere. Winter pool, you're gonna start to see some really scary stuff that people have been running over all summer long. But big giant tree stumps, that are 5 foot across, that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of shoals that get, dirt shallow during winter pool. So you want to stay within the channel markers in areas that you don't know exactly where to run during winter pool. During summer pool, it's pretty safe lake to run all around for the most part. But winter pool, be very, very cautious. Only run where you know that there is water. Other than that, there is a launch ramp kind of up the lake. I forget the name of it. It's a cotton port is what it's called. I've used that one. It's right on the main river here. It's a good one if you're wanting to go check out the dam or something like that, or fish this part of the river and you don't want to launch all the way down in Dayton and make your way up. I've launched at Cotton Port several times. The biggest problem is there's no dock and it's pretty rocky. So there's a lot of riprap. So if you don't have a a keel guard on your boat, like I don't have one. Phoenix doesn't offer it as an option at the factory, but if you don't have a keel guard, you know, you just got to be very careful. Use your power poles, have them set off you know, off the rocks a little bit, and then you might have to wade. But it is a decent ramp. Questionable as far as security all the time, because it is kind of out there. It's more of like a good place for hunters to launch, you know, than like, you know, guys with a bunch of tournament tackle and stuff like that. So anyways, those are the launch ramps that I've used and trust. Never had any issues at any of the ramps that I've been to as far as theft or anything like that. Does not mean that I've just been lucky, you know. There's always that possibility, but I would say that the most safe places to launch have to be Dayton, Chester Frost, Woltever, and those are the kind of the three biggest ones. Holly Park is also really nice. Grasshopper, there's so many people living there that I would assume that it's probably a fairly safe place as well. But I've only used it once, but a lot of people. All right, so let's talk about lodging for Chickamauga. Dayton, we've already touched up on a little bit. We got, you know, we've got Blue Water Resort in Dayton. That's good for RVs. They got some nice lodges, kind of like, you know, just kind of like a lodge style hotel deal that they've got there. Dayton's got several other hotels that cater to anglers pretty well. But there's kind of a dry area between Dayton and when you get down to Soddy Daisy. Soddy Daisy, you start to see, again, you can find some lodging there, some hotels. And then, of course, once you get down to Chattanooga area, there's all kinds of stuff. But if I was coming to Lake Chickamauga, I would focus on the Hickson, Soddy Daisy area right here around Chester Frost. There's plenty of different hotel options that are a little bit more welcoming for anglers. And then up in Dayton, you know, you've got all of that. So those are the two places that I would recommend that you really focus your energy on finding lodging, because I feel like they're a little bit more catering. Now, you go down to Chattanooga, I don't know. There's probably a lot of hotels that are, the parking's just not as good as you would want for, you know, staying there with a boat and all that. Anyways, I mean, that's pretty much it, as far as, you know, the logistics for, you know, Lake Chickamauga, between launch ramps and lodging. So that's kind of pretty much it. But, anyways, guys, hopefully this will help you out a little bit. If you're coming to Lake Chickamauga, it is a great area that loves having anglers here. And the fishing can be very, very spectacular. So anyways, guys, if you have any questions at all, if you're visiting the area, drop me a comment below. Other than that, make sure you like, share, subscribe if you like this sort of content. And other than that, I will see you on the water. Make sure you trust the process.